Well, hi, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. Our topic for today's Tech Talk is what's your backup plan? It's our next Tech Talk, Sage Tech Talk. Love it. And these are going well. We're doing these on a regular basis every month, Matt, right? We're keeping going. We're keeping going.
Agreed. Keep the
It's
consistency.
it's right. It's a Tech Talk is a collaboration between Sage Federation and Tazergy. Matt. It's the senior living technology version of a short version webinar. Matt, you want to tell us about yourself or tell everyone here about Tazergy and what you do?
Sure thing. Matt Haywood, founder and CEO of Tazergy, and we are a low voltage focused or a senior living focused low voltage design, implementation, and support company. So that's our focus.
And you know everything
Happy to be here.
tech. You know everything
There's
technology there
not
is
a
to know.
thing that I don't know about technology. Not
No,
one thing. Yeah,
No, I think it's a great synergy between us because everyone has so many questions on technology all the time, which is
right.
why we've decided to bring this Tech Talk to you every month and kind of talk through some very broad topics and get some basic questions of yours answered. If you're viewing this as a recorded session from our website and you don't have the ability to retract or send in questions, please just email us at info@sagefederation.org with any thoughts that you have after viewing this or thoughts on upcoming technology questions that you want answered, because we will respond to any and all questions, I'll tell you, and answer them to the best
Indeed,
of
we
our
will.
ability. So my name is Jill Schrader. I am the current Sage president, and I'm so happy to be hosting this on behalf of Sage and Tazergy. I'm a senior architectural planner, and I volunteer my time with this organization as a commitment to bring all of you relevant content to help better our design for aging community. And for those of you not familiar with Sage, we're the Society for the Advancement of Gerontological Environments. It's quite a mouthful, but that's what we are. It's a
Oh,
membership-based organization representing and promoting collaboration between all disciplines of the senior living industry. So this is technology, and other webinars and other presentations touch on different topics that relate to our senior living industry and the built environment. But we plan these for educational content. They're presented by Matt Haywood, CEO of Tazergy, and a member of Sage. He is.
indeed.
Hopefully these give you insight into a topic, or with any luck, maybe you'll learn something new. You never know.
Never
These
know.
Tech Talks are free to you and happen every month, as we said. If you like what you see in here today and are not a member, please consider visiting our website, as I just mentioned, at sagefederation.org for information on Sage membership. Matt
Yeah.
lives in the world of tech. I know I have to read this script that Lori wrote. Matt, just hang with me. Supporting system design. It's like she writes a little book of who you are, and it's very mysterious. Implementation. Okay, Matt lives in a world of tech, supporting system design, implementation, and consultation for this challenging field. We can all certainly benefit from this, from his advice and his passion in this senior housing industry. There it is. All right, so today's topic.
So what is
Um,
it?
yeah, it's
Yeah,
backup. What's your backup plan?
man.
Man, what's your backup plan, man? No, it's about backup generations and disaster planning. And we've got some bullet points to start us out with. And if you have questions right now and are watching this live, type them in and we'll get to them. But essentially, starting out with this topic, Matt. You're up. Backup generator, yay or nay? When or what size project or scale of a project should any of our planning teams, design teams consider a backup generator, or what type of project?
Well, if it's senior living, which
Yep.
tends to be what we're talking about since we are in a Sage Tech Talk,
Yep.
yes,
Yes.
we're not talking about apartments or
Nope.
malls or anything of the like. So, um, I personally think it is prudent and advisable for a senior living community to plan to have a backup generator as part of their core infrastructure. because I generally don't think it's if, it's when there's a power outage. I think that to say that unilaterally across the board that there should be no variables that play a role into that equation, um, I, I think that would be a little heavy-handed in my opinion. I
Yeah.
certainly think that there are regions and zones that you should just flat out plan for a generator, hands
Okay.
down.
Okay.
Um, those storm-prone areas, areas prone to power outages, if you want to talk about the power grid, any areas that have challenged power grid, you don't want to have to evacuate a senior living community because you don't have power,
Right.
simply put, right?
Right.
Um, so from an architect standpoint, Jill, I think that tends to be a conversation that is had pre-technology. Generally, as low voltage consulting folk, we are not usually engaged in the yay or nay conversation on whether
Mm-hmm.
a project has it. Generally, we're told, hey, this has it or this doesn't. Um, if we were to play a role, in some of those we do have a conversation as a VE may be going on, we definitely would vote to have a backup generator.
Okay.
So it might be the long-winded way to say, yay would be my answer.
Right. But there are some circumstances where it's not required as a state level or
Right,
it's not required. And so the question remains, is it's a freestanding memory support or dementia support unit or something? Do we need
right,
it or not? And if it's 20 apartments or so, they start to question, do we need it? Is it a freestanding assisted living? Do we need it? Even independent living, maybe it doesn't have a large kitchen, it doesn't have all those bells and whistles. Should we have it? Yay or nay? And it starts to get into a little more complicated question instead of the obvious question when we do anything regarding skilled care, whether it's long-term care or
right.
short stay. Obviously it's required. Yes, we need that. But in these other smaller scale projects and others that like in the independent living or 55 plus or what, they may not think that they need it. So
Yeah.
when is the trigger in your eyes of when we say have at least a small unit? And in that vein, what are the sizes of backup generators? Can you let us know that too?
So, slight disclaimer. I am
Yeah.
not a backup generator guru, so I don't want anybody
You're a
to
tech guru.
come. I am a tech guru. So
Yeah.
as far as generator output
Okay.
types and I can answer this. Generators are always sized. Well, you were talking about code. Let's start
Yeah.
there. Required. When you're required, there's typically specific systems that are required to be connected to it.
Yeah.
If you've got a commercial kitchen, the hood might have to be other things. It might have to be common areas, some HVAC.
Right.
Generally, it's never the living spaces. It's generally never the resident units.
Yeah.
So, um, similar to the backup generator question, yay or nay, say the simple answer is yes, but how you arrive there and whether it's a fit for your project requires a requires more questions, requires more digging in and into the details. I would say the same thing on what is connected to the generator.
Yeah.
If you just grab an electrical engineer and say, hey, code requires me to have a generator, generally you're going to get life safety things. Life safety in senior living typically
Hmm.
is defined as your fire alarm system and your elevator.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can't operate a senior living community and deliver care with an elevator online and a fire alarm system working. You're
Right.
going to be evacuating that at that point.
You're going to be
Um,
evacuating and yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other, there's a couple. Sometimes I've heard operators toy with the idea of designing the building to accommodate a generator,
Yeah.
but then go and not install one, but have one procured or rented when needed.
When needed. So have
Right.
that in the emergency
Yeah.
plans.
The
I,
challenge with that is I would say, make sure you're clear that the when needed is
yeah.
something that you're going to be when needed and guaranteed, not when needed and you hope it's available.
Right.
Generally, when you need it is more than likely when others are going to need it as well.
Right.
Unless, of course, it's something unique to your particular community.
Right. Right.
Um, so
Okay. All right, the next question we've got is operational considerations for disaster planning, and that kind of goes in line with what you just said, having a plan in place. If you don't have a backup generator, you're going to have it when needed,
yeah,
in a hurricane or I mean, how do you get it? What's your plan?
so those are all great things, and I would
Complicated.
strongly encourage the operator, the developer need to be engaged actively with the design team to step
Yeah,
through and figure out should we do this and
yeah,
can we afford to, can we afford not to,
yeah,
and also what does it look like? Um, if you don't have the operator or somebody who has their finger on the pulse for ops, you're going to have a certain point in time in the life of the community where there's going to be a gotcha moment or a
yeah,
what? We don't have this? Take, for example, like the resident units don't have generator power.
right.
Residents might not be happy with that. They may not
No,
know that it is, they might move in thinking, oh, there's a generator. That's great. Well, it's a generator that you can live and exist in the common area and amenity areas. You don't have to evacuate. But when you go in your unit, it's dark.
right,
So if we take it to the tech and building systems, let's say the non-emergency, so low voltage for senior living typically is not classified as um, critical.
yeah,
So we definitely, if you have a generator, strongly suggest you connect all of your low voltage systems. I strongly
hmm,
suggest you go through the systems and components that you have there and simply ask the question, can I survive if this system is non-operational for a time period? If the
right.
answer is no, then it needs to be connected.
Needs, and do you start to question that even more as more and more we jump into wanting more systems connected in technology and more to be user friendly and that use this platform and this, hands free, da, 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 da. The more we go into that, the more I think that question is raised
Sure.
every
It,
time of like, how do we operate this if it's,
correct. If you are not having a design level conversation about this with a low voltage design firm,
yeah,
about all systems. We're not talking about just select systems. We're really talking about it, the whole landscape that you were sharing, Jill.
yeah,
Not putting any blinders on. You need to intentionally plan for how those are going to be deployed. Are they converged networks, separate
right,
systems and components? And if they are or are not, those all play in the landscape of what do we need to connect to generator power.
okay,
Say for your e-call system, if e-call system was built on the same infrastructure as your network, well, then it may continue working.
yeah,
May. It needs to be validated, right?
yeah,
So for sure, as we look in the landscape of converged networks, more technology, IoT level things, it's going to require more contemplation, more consideration for what needs to be online and available in the event of an emergency.
yeah,
And how does that play an impact in how we operate in those times?
true, okay. Yeah, another question we've got is planning which systems are connected to emergency power, which we already kind of touched on of what those systems would be. Is
It,
are we?
but
Yeah,
so there's a planning component, and I think from an architect standpoint, you guys have there is a dialogue, there is a process that you go through for that with the consulting with the design team, correct?
yeah, there is, and I'm questioning the timing of that conversation. It always seems to be the earlier the better, the earlier the better. Every single time we talk about anything technology, it comes from you,
Yes.
Matt, of saying earlier the better, the earlier the better. Um, these conversations don't usually happen in a planning exercise for a project until all of the systems are figured out and all of the rooms are set, and we're so far
Hmm.
along in the project details. Is that a problem? Should we be talking earlier, or what's your ideal scenario for this conversation?
Well, here's the reason why I say earlier is better
Yeah,
is because that sets the project up for success.
Yeah.
If a project has to have a generator and it's determined that it needs to, the best time is when you're planning to build the community, not mid-build,
Okay.
right? And
Right.
and you that's going to help you with your performa, that's going to help you with your sales price, that's going to help you with your fees. All of that is necessary. I also think it plays a role in marketing and selling your community.
Yeah.
Representing what you've built here so that you can attract residents and families to say the reason why you want to move in here is because we have these systems, because we can deliver X, Y, and Z to you. If
Sure.
one of those things is, hey, in the event of an emergency, here's what life is like. We do not have to evacuate. We
Okay.
can shelter in place. We can, these are, common areas work. Resident
Right.
units are going to be dark. I,
Yeah.
it would,
Qualm the
I think,
fears
exactly.
in times of concern. I mean, there are states where a constant um disasters are looming. I mean, I'm thinking
Yeah,
of Florida with the hurricanes
right.
and I mean, but to have that planned area of refuge that is a little bit more than the bare minimum requirements, it's planned for what will make us feel safe,
Yes,
safer
right.
than
And
just having the bare minimum in that
even
place.
if
Yeah.
you take if you take a generator requirement, if you say, hey, what do we need to meet with code wise
Yeah.
to in order to comply,
Hmm.
and then add on your other tiers that lead to resident comfort,
Yeah.
operational
Resident comfort.
efficiency,
Yep.
those sort of things. So I'm not implying fully provide end-to-end generator
Yeah.
for everything, but certainly give some consideration to whether you're okay not having any lighting circuits inside a resident unit on. What
Right.
happens if you provided a minimum? What
Yeah.
happens if you provided one power outlet in each resident unit, that type of thing?
Right.
I those are the types of strategic conversations that I think are best had at a design table
Yeah.
with with people that can provide the operational perspective.
Yeah. That
And
makes sense. Yeah.
the consultants, as a design consultant, we'd be able to help share some insight into what systems low voltage wise should be contemplated. And
Right.
also we can help with power planning. We need to equip the electrical engineer with load, right? That's something that
Yeah.
we can do without having to buy a system. We can provide an electrical engineer with the
Yeah.
estimated load capacity per se.
Yeah. And communication systems of the resident, like you were talking about, resident comfort of how do residents
Yes.
communicate with their family members to let them know that they're okay or this is what's happening or um
Yes.
what
Projects
is
that
that?
we absolutely, and we have had these. This is not a hypothetical conversation or a
Yeah.
suggestion. We do have these conversations with many of the projects that we've been engaged with, developers and operators, and it very much has been an intentional decision. Hey, we will not plan for any backup generator circuits in a resident unit.
Mm-hmm.
But then operationally, they're delivering that message to the ops team. That's
Yeah.
another critical component of all things tech, because
Yeah.
everything we're talking about tech has to be used by somebody, supported by somebody, and ultimately sort of represented or sold to somebody. So it's
True.
it's it, it's not like buying some sheetrock, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last one was powering essential systems in the midst of a disaster. Is that topic, is that bullet point, I should say,
Oh,
talking about an experience that, another operator or project has had where something has happened and they wish they would have X or what are your
there's
thoughts there?
plenty of news stories that you can see and hear and read. I would say when you're contemplating whether you should invest in at least the discussion
Yeah.
dialogue, but certainly once you have it, choosing to invest in the backup generator, think about the environment in which you might need to be evacuating a community.
Right.
Think about
Right.
the timing. Think about the resources. Think about the team that is in place and their skill sets and capabilities. Is
Yeah.
a senior living community, local community team, or even regional ops teams, are they best at disaster planning and evacuation? Or are they best at providing care and tending to resident needs? Just say it can stress any team, even the most adept teams, to
Oh,
to orchestrate an evacuation of a senior living community and make sure that residents are safe,
right.
right? So in the event of an emergency, which generally I would say is going to be occurring within a region, so it would not solely be that one community experiencing
Yeah.
this evacuation need, right?
It's all in
It
the
it
area.
would it would
Yeah.
be so, and that heightens, elevates the challenges that you need to overcome. So those are some of the reasons that I would share of why I encourage developers and owners to lean more towards that side. When we talk about powering essential systems,
Yeah.
it's some of the design conversation, as I had alluded to, the need
Yes.
to be intentional in what's connected. Well, the other piece to this is making sure that your essential systems are powered and having confidence that they're powered in a disaster is that you need to have a test plan. The low voltage infrastructure and systems need to be part of your generator startup testing weekly that your maintenance team does.
Sure. So
We
that you
do this
know.
with,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, that it was sometimes well, not sometimes, when we engage in those level of conversations for the operators whom we support,
Hmm.
we encourage them to, hey, when you're doing your generator testing, when do you plan to do a a a real test,
Yeah.
one where you're going to flip the transfer switch and take it from the house panel to the critical power.
Yeah.
And when we do that, we want to be engaged because we want to confirm, do we expect the firewall to stay up? Do we expect the internet to stay up? Do we expect phones to work? Do we expect e-call? What are the systems that we expect to work, and are they?
Sure.
The reason why I say that this is so critically important is, um, well, I guess it's because in order to plug something into the wall, as we all know, it requires a very advanced degree,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's something that we all have to work very hard at to figure out. A plug, a
Yeah.
common plug plugs into a common outlet, and that plug, where it's plugged in, determines whether that's connected to critical power or not.
Yeah.
So, can tell you, once we deploy a system at a community, if it was connected to a generator outlet, there's some variables that play into, will this stay online?
Yeah.
One, is it still connected to a generator outlet? Is the
Yeah.
battery supply in it? Is it viable and working? Can it handle a 10-second outage or transfer, a 30-second, right?
Yeah.
Generally, those transfers are quick, but still worth testing to confirm what's working and what's not.
Yeah.
Again, do this when you don't have an emergency.
As you're saying this, I'm totally thinking of our last month's topic of the renovations and old systems. And when you're planning for a renovation in an existing community, maybe they have, that backup generator, but it's just so old. And so when you're talking about testing the systems and still might have some life to it, but it's something to consider and not overlook and just assume everything's fine as you move ahead for a renovation. I mean,
Absolutely. The assumptions. Please do not make the assumption that, oh, I've got a generator. Check, done,
check, done.
move
Yeah,
on. Please do
yeah,
not. Like, operationally, you have to absorb this and make this part of the framework of what your maintenance and ops teams are doing so that we can help validate that those systems are performing
yeah,
as expected.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, this is great conversation.
I
So
think one of the other things that I forgot to mention about the generator is,
yeah.
a thing to contemplate. Again, this is not necessarily tech, but it is about generator, is the type of fuel.
Oh,
Is it a single fuel? Is it dual fuel? So whether you're doing a natural gas connected or a
yeah.
diesel, that's going to play a role in make it, like, if it's natural gas, technically, you shouldn't ever run out as long as the natural gas grid infrastructure is not impacted.
Oh, yeah,
If you're
true.
on diesel, you have a tank, but you
Yeah.
need to make sure that that fuel is stable, and then when you are running on generator power, there needs to be a plan for refueling that tank. So those are just some other things to be aware of in the generator
Is one
landscape.
preferred over the other?
I think it would come down to regionally.
Okay.
Me, I would prefer to not have to worry about running out of fuel. So, from a natural gas standpoint, I feel like that has um, a bit more attractiveness to
Okay.
it, but
Yeah.
I don't think that it's a one size fits all.
Okay. I wanted to, so before we run out of time, I do want Matt, you to talk
Never
about
happens.
It's got a few minutes. Seriously, we always fly through this half hour. So fast. I want you, if you could explain the member benefit and the reason why we have this member benefit
For
to
sure.
use you to talk about planning ahead for technology. Are you able to
I
talk
sure
about that?
can. And meanwhile, before I do that, I just for those folks who are here in person, if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A.
QA.
We are, even though Lori isn't here, Jill and I have been indoctrinated and
Yes, we have.
put through the Lori boot camp, so we're mindful of that. So please feel free to put anything there. The Sage member benefit, yes,
Yeah.
we are offering a design review for those
Yep.
new members to Sage. And what that means would be, hey, send us a project. We will have one of our designers review it and provide some commentary, dialogue, feedback with you for that project that you guys you can in turn use with your clients.
Yeah.
So that was the point. The point was to give new members a it hopefully lower the barrier of
Exactly. That's
what
what
is
we're
the
trying.
point?
Right.
Why should I talk with somebody like Tazergy? Why should I engage low voltage? It's
Yeah.
a hated, frustrated area
That's
anyways. Hey, give us a shot. You
it
take
lowers
advantage of the
the
member
fear.
benefit. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to do is get this in the conversations earlier. How can we make this more accessible and to get people loving technology conversations instead of avoiding them? So
I would
thank you for
love it
that.
if they loved it, but if we simply succeeded in eliminating or lowering the avoidance, that would be amazing.
I would agree. All right. So, two, because as Matt mentioned, Lori is gone. Lori is absent for a little bit. She's taken some vacation time this month. So the
Unapproved.
recording,
Neither
unapproved,
Jill nor I approved
exactly.
it. Yes, just for the record.
Lori Bridgman is our executive director. I'm not sure if anyone knows that for Sage, but so the recording for this will get sent out in a little of a delay. So it won't come right after this, but it will come. So have no fear, but it will be posted immediately to the Sage website if you need to watch this and learn more about the backup generators. Next month's topic is already scheduled and it's in our events on July 11th for the title is Get Smart, Planning for the Adoption of Smart Technology. I can't wait for that
Tell
conversation.
you what, I can't wait because I have been wanting to get smart for a while. So I think if I'm there, will you certify that I'm
Yes,
smart? Okay.
I will.
Okay.
I will. Absolutely.
I know you're not certifying it now, just then, right?
All right. We'll spread the word and please join us for next month's conversation. Again, if you have questions, send them in. Matt will answer any and all things. And we appreciate all of your time, Matt. So thank you. Thank you for
You.
jumping on this every month. And also for that member benefit that we hope that is really helpful for everyone.
I hope the
Um,
people could find value in that for sure. We
yes,
look forward
absolutely.
to
All right.
serving in that capacity.
Thank you guys. Thank you all. We'll see you next month. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.